Hello guys, welcome back to another YouTube video. And if you guys don't already know me, I'm Demi. Personal development is something that I eat, sleep, and breathe. And so let's get into what this video is going to be about today. So this is actually going to be online dating tips, because I think it's very important that when we're living in a world of social media, that, it is still possible to find love. And I've ran into some really great people online, whether that's romantic or not romantic, and not recently, but just like over the years. And I think it's really important. And, I talk to a lot of different people about the things that I do, and they're like kind of amazed by it. And so I thought I should share it with my subscribers on here, and because I find you guys near and dear to my heart. And if you could find this useful, you can. Most of this is for the lens of a woman, because the way we have to protect ourselves online, and men don't necessarily need protection, but just in a different way. um and I will say all this to say that most men, they're not worried about protecting themselves from the world or men, because they're the stronger gender and all of the things. They're bigger, they have testosterone, all these different things, so they're not worried about safety. And so that is why I say that this is mainly for women who find themselves dating online, or are interested in dating online. I mean, obviously you can find your person online, or out in the wild, or through a friend of a friend. I do highly recommend that you find your person like through a friend of a friend. That way the vetting process is just a lot easier for you. And yeah, I feel like that's the best way, through your network. That is the easiest way to find your lover, I feel. It is going to take a lot more work and a lot more time and energy if you do decide to um, go online when it goes to dating. So, let's get started. So, number one, I have, of course, inner work, personal development. Get you a coach, get you a therapist. While you're in this process, because I feel like that in the past, I waited to be this perfect person before going out there. And I feel like you could be working on yourself and going out there at the same time. That way you'd be able to get your results a lot faster. And so that's what I'm going to say about that. For safety, definitely make sure you guys are doing background checks on the people that you are, dating online, because if you find something now, it's just better. um and so yeah, I just think it's very important, because it kind of cuts through the BS. So for instance, if you ask a man for his name and stuff, so you're going to do a background check and stuff like that, and you don't have to ask straight up, but you could just ask for their first and last name, and if they give it to you, they give it to you, and if they don't, they don't. And you can just kind of move on based off of that, because there are a lot of, suspicious and interesting people out there that could be potential, you know not so good things. And so this is what this is for. So if it seems extreme, it is extreme, because women need to be careful when they're dating online. That is just what it is. It doesn't matter what age you are. And so, yep. So use a fake name or half of your name. For you guys who don't know, like I refer to as Demi, but Demi is not my full government name. And so, yeah. So you can use that and like a piece of your last name. You don't have to give them your whole entire thing, because again, men are not really worried about their safety. So most of the time, the guys that are of good conscience and of good intentions is not really going to care, and they're going to actually be for it because they know and are aware of the dangers online and care about women's safety. So that overall, if they're okay with that. Now, if they turn suspicious, then that's when he's out. You could contact off, and you can cut contact off by, depending on how volatile it is. Like if he's going from 0 to 100, then you want to block. And I also want to say that, like, use a Google number. Don't use your real number. Don't ever use your real number when dating, simply because you don't want that person to have direct access to you. And maybe you could look up your number and find some things about you, find out where you live. Like, you just never know what people can find with your number. So yeah, and if someone has a problem with that, that's also a red flag, because why are you suspicious of me as a woman protecting myself? Because that is just natural to women. Um, Especially when you are by nature the weaker gender. So yeah. Um, yep, you find, yeah. So basically you just trying to gauge his reaction when you ask for these things. If he seems super suspicious and like super like offended, defensive, he's out. Because if you have nothing to hide, why are you being so defensive? Um, yeah, and I don't really think there's any good explanation for it at all, because it's a saying that they say hit dogs holler, and so, why would someone be triggered by you asking for their first and last name? Yeah. Um, So, yeah, but you have to see how he deals. And this is another quick way before even meeting the person to see how they deal with conflict. Because if they have something on their record, it it could potentially be taken as like a conflict for them. And you want to see how they handle that, especially if you do find something, and just tell them that you're not interested. Now, if you find something that's just like so egregious that you're just like, no, you can just send them a message and be like, hey, it was nice getting to know you, but I'm no longer interested at this time. Wish you the best of luck with your search. Much love. And you definitely want to do this like in a sweet way. That way, when they're out there looking for their person, you're encouraging them rather than just like, beating the person down and just being mean to them. And you can just say best wishes. You don't have to be so harsh in your rejection, women. You don't have to be so harsh and mean and hard. That takes a lot of energy. Number 3, always date with intention. Um, yeah, always, always, always date with intention. Your profile should be filled with things that are your hobbies. Like, say if you like to read books, have a picture of you reading a book. If you love flowers, take a picture of you, in the garden and put that on your profile. Stuff that doesn't, just like selfies and stuff like you can have one selfie, but try to limit the selfies and try to limit the photos with like all of the filters and things of that nature that could be altering. And definitely give a full body photo of some sort that is updated, because that's just fair and that's just what it is. And yeah. So yeah. Um but typically you want to date more than one person, because when you date one person and then that doesn't work out, you're less likely to be clingy and like hung on to that person. And I don't know what it is about women needing to just stick to one man when that man hasn't committed to you in no way, shape, or form. And yeah, no, that's just not how things are supposed to be done. So I definitely recommend rotational dating, having to at least 3 to 5 guys on your roster at all times until somebody asks you to be their girlfriend. And do not be their girlfriend for no longer than a year and a half to 2 years. Because at that point, that's not dating with intentions. That's wasting your time, energy, and your good years of life. Um, yeah, I feel like that's pretty self-explanatory. Um, and you can obviously go and do your own research if you'd like, but I follow all different types of dating coaches that have given sound advice, and I just took some of their advice and I just kind of put it in this video for those to see who may need help and want to find a decent partner, someone who's emotionally available. And remember, if you want somebody who's emotionally available, you have to make sure that you are emotionally available. And the only way to really know that is to have some kind of therapy or coach or someone who can evaluate who you are as a person. Or I don't know, there's quizzes out there. There's so many different things and resources out there to tell you who you are and different things like that. At least that's what worked for me when finding, the best type of people when you're looking online. Um, yes. So, yeah. Number 4, no talking on the phone for more than 10 to 15 minutes when dating. Simply because you want to limit the time that you're talking to this person because you're trying to get to know them. And if that man is not scheduling a date once a week, every week, or even sometimes twice a week, he's out because what is happening? Unless they have like a vacation scheduled or something like long, something like that. Like, yeah, because it just becomes like a waste of time, and you just become like their plaything and things to just kind of give them attention, and you don't want to lean into that at all. Um, yeah, and then like when you talk and like do all that too much, it creates this closeness when you really don't know an entire stranger. So you just want to be careful of that because that creates a false sense of familiarity that should not be happening when you just met someone. Text only, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. That's it when you guys are dating until he asks you to be his girlfriend or date exclusively. And make sure you guys know what that means to each person so that way there is no miscommunication or misunderstandings and stuff. Just over communicate. And when I say over communicate, I don't mean spill your trauma. I mean spill your identity. Tell them who you are. Tell them the things that you like, you know, and the things that you're interested in, the things that make you happy, and see how they react to that. And see how, see if they're interested, they ask you more about it, stuff like that. Or, you say you like this and then they give you a gift. You can see that he's attentive and, he recognizes the different things and he sees value in you. Yeah. Oh, yeah. On the dating apps, I will say only respond to others that send a paragraph that is evidence that they read your profile. This equals intention, and you can write it down. You can rewind and write that down because when I say it takes a lot of work when you're dating online, it does. And so this helps limit that and help you find the people that are actually looking for you. And try not to be so superficial. Try not to be superficial. Like, it is more than just looks. No, I'm not saying date a grizzly bear. I'm just saying don't try to find the perfect Prince Charming. If you are like that, you might want to get you a coach. You might want to get you some therapy because I used to be like that and that did not work for me in the past. And when I realized why I was choosing the person I was choosing, everything changed for me. And I see a lot of things differently now. So I will just say that. Yeah. Um, so your bio in your dating profile, your bio on your dating profile is should be dating for marriage or dating with the intention for marriage to be the end goal. That is it. That is all. You are not explaining. You're not saying, no, I don't like sarcasm, I don't like da da da. You're not talking about anything that you do not like in your bio. You are simply telling them the things that you like to do. And, the things that you are, and say you're looking for someone that has similar values. Something very short, to the point, very cutesy, very, transparent. And, like for me personally, if I had a profile, I would put I am, an emotionally available person. I'm kind. I value family, fun, and I value, marriage mindset. Um, I also like to play like volleyball. I want to try to get better at golf, and I like all things beauty and aesthetics and things of that nature. Pretty short, needs to the point. And then you could just say, I'm looking for someone who is also dating with intention, dating for marriage, blah, blah, blah. Very simple. But don't be in the profile like saying all these things, because there's going to be a lot of people's profiles who say like, no, I don't date this and this and this, no, I don't date this and this and that. Like, you can swipe on them and see what they have to offer you, but yeah. And then as a woman, let the man message you first. I promise it. Just listen. If you don't listen, that's on you, and you gonna get the results from that. Yes, there are outliers, but I'm talking about the bell-shaped curve. I'm talking about the things that's most likely to happen. And so just listen to that advice, because it's always worked for me when the man is always reaching out first. Don't reach out first, especially if you're not in an exclusive relationship. Like, actually, don't even do that ever. Make it like 80% him, 20% you when it comes to like communication. Okay? When you're in an exclusive relationship. But when you are dating and in the courtship phase, this man don't owe you nothing. You don't owe this man anything. Unless, he invites you out on a date. And that should be it. Okay, next. If he doesn't schedule a date within a week, he's out. We are not entertaining pen pals, okay? Don't become a pen pal. 9, never withhold on purpose. Just have a life and tend to it more. So I know there's a lot of different content and stuff like that about like, ignore him, don't text him all day, and da 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 da. Which why I said, just text breakfast, lunch, and dinner time, because it's pretty standard. And you can just attend to your life. Like, you don't have to text back as soon as they text back. Like, you don't have to feel obligated. And that goes to the inner work and therapy, because why do you feel the need and urgency to respond to a complete stranger? Why? Yeah, I had that issue, so that's why I'm just like, work through it, you'll get over it. As if you decide to, because it's a personal journey. And then also get a therapy and life coach, because things are going to come up. You might realize you're the problem, and that's why it's important to have like a therapy or coach on the side to kind of help you navigate and work through those things. I highly recommend EMDR, because that's what worked for me. Hypnotherapy, that's what worked for me, because it works very fast depending on your level of awareness, obviously. But those are things that work really fast. You don't have to talk through it and do all this other stuff. No, you can just rewire that belief in your mind, and it's done. That's why I recommend these different type of therapies, because it's like, it doesn't have to be this hard thing where you have to think about the trauma all over again and do all of this stuff. Like, yeah. So yeah. Next one. Dress like a woman. Don't have on no gym clothes. Don't have on no pants. Like, look like a woman. The man is wanting to date and go on a date out with a woman. Why would you want to look like him? He's not looking for a man. He's looking for a woman. Um, So yeah, don't dress like you're going to work. Just like you're going on a date to potentially meet the love of your life, because that's just what it is. Be playful, let them joke. See if you can truly have fun with the person. And then the next one, have the best time that you can. Now, I can see if there's a person and they're, not quite your type, but, just have the most fun that you can. You can like joke and talk about the people in the restaurant, or, talk to the waitress and ask her questions. Just be a fun person and just have fun and enjoy the process. Like, it's not supposed to be this whole, oh gosh, the dating scene and blah 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 and everything's all negative. Like, no. And if someone on a date asks you, how's your dating process going, you can just say, I have no complaints right now. I'm enjoying my time getting to know other people. Just make it very neutral, very, yeah, because again, if you're gonna say it very like, say if you're not having a good experience, then that person's going to look at you as a negative person. But if you go neutral, they have nothing to go with, right? Because you should be just simply enjoying your experiences, right? You shouldn't be thinking negatively. That's a problem that I did run into. And so, yeah, don't think negatively. If they bring up, like, the 50-50 conversation, or the provider and who should do this and do that, just say, this is what I did. I just said, I believe men do the blue jobs and the woman does the pink jobs, and that's all I have to say about that. That usually shuts them up. Because the thing is, it's this program in their mind that like makes them want to fight you when you start talking about it logically. When really you're just supposed to be getting to know someone and keeping it light and playful. That information is kind of heavy, and that should automatically be activated in someone because that's who that person is, if that makes sense. Like, you shouldn't be asking, can you do this? Can you do that? Da, 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 da. Just watch what they provide for you. If the person pays for the date, that means that they are a provider. If the person walks on the right side of the road, that means they are a protector. If the person, like, you don't have to ask people things. Just pay attention to their actions. That is it. Next. If he doesn't pay for the date, he's out. It's common courtesy to pay on a date, especially when you never asked to be there as a woman. So, it's just common courtesy. That's it. It's not about women and this and equality. No, it's common courtesy. That's just how it is. Now, if you don't believe in that, then you probably shouldn't be watching this video. So yeah. Next. If he's busy, let him be busy. And go talk to someone else if he fades out. Let him fade out. Because this is also a part of the process. It's kind of like rejection therapy. If you don't know what that is, look it up. And this is also kind of like exposure therapy. A lot of things come up that you can learn from dating. Because as you date, you begin to see what you want and what you don't want in people. And the faster you get there, the faster you find your person. Because you're just sifting left and right. And with this video, you're going to have a pretty solid base, I promise you, if you follow this to a T. But I really do want to put an emphasis on, do not respond to others that just send you hey or hi. And it's just like a hey, hi conversation. No. You want someone who reaches out to you first. And you want someone who is showing you that they have read your profile. That is the one that deserves your attention. A little bit of it, not a lot. Remember, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Okay. Check for value alignments. And then the next one, know what your values are. I shared my values earlier, so that can give you a template. But you can also do your own research to figure out what your values are. They might even have a quiz somewhere online. But yeah, it's best for you to know yourself. But as you get to dating and stuff, you'll get to know what you like and don't like and value also along the way. But you should have at least a solid base. Like, for instance, say if you value family and the other person doesn't, then that's not really gonna work, because they're probably not gonna have kids, and they probably don't want to spend time with their family because they're estranged. And you know it just it's just best if certain values align. um so make sure you have those in check before you even start this process. um Work on your tone when speaking. Keep it calm, keep it cute, you know because that also affects the entire interaction. I've talked about this on my page, like how your tone can wreck your life, and how my tone wrecked my relationships in my life. Not just romantic. I'm talking about familial, work relationship, like every single relationship it affected. And so, yeah. Um, yeah. So, yeah. Let the man finish his thoughts before interrupting. Never interrupt a man when he's talking, because you will find out a lot of different things by just being quiet and just listening to his complete thought. And he also feels respected and valued when he's able to get his full thought out. And you can replay that over and over and over again, because I'm telling you, this is game changer. Stop listening to dating content without intention. And then second to last one, before pointing the finger outward, go inward, because most of the time you are the problem. Most of the time. For instance, I think that way back when I was like dating someone, and they were like being late and stuff like that, but it was because I was allowing them to be late. Like I was just allowing it to be a thing. And once I, just stopped responding, or like stopped whatever, they corrected themselves. So sometimes it's not them, it's you and your boundaries and your standards. So that's what I mean by that. And bonus, if you give your number out and he calls immediately, he's out, because the only person who would call you right when you give their number is a crazy person. Um, yeah, especially without, sending a text first and stuff like that. That's just weird, especially if they're calling more than one time and like texting you over and over and over. Only someone who is not in their right mind would do something like that. So just think about that a little bit. Think about what would be happening in the movies and stuff, and like, because this is real stuff. So yes, and because I've experienced this stuff, like most of the people, if I did give them a second chance, they would still end up calling my phone and all of those things. And also, just simply don't be available. You don't have to text, hey, I was busy and blah, 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 blah. Just don't answer. Like if you were asleep and he called you at 11 p.m., you're asleep. So you're not available for the call because you're asleep. And he should be able to be grown enough to hit you up in the morning and be like, hey, I called you. And you can just kind of set up a time with him to talk on a certain day. So, yeah, in the beginning, definitely talk once a week, and then, move it to twice a week as you get more comfortable or whatever with a person. Because it's just a better way to have a nice, slow relationship, because you get to see them clearly. You get to see them with clarity. And most of all, don't do the do. And I know that's really on you, but I wouldn't recommend it, because it just kind of jades you. You can't really see anything clearly. Your mental clarity is taken away from you, and your hormones betray you. And when I say your hormones betray you, I basically am saying that when you are doing the do with someone before commitment, your body's hormones start moving and telling you that this person is safe. And you can look this stuff up, because this is real. And so when you do the do with someone that is not committed to you, or someone who's abusing you and just not treating you right, and you continue to do it, that's why it's kind of hard for, DV people to move away, because their hormones are betraying them. And it's very, very important for a woman to know. That's where the word demonetized comes from. It really is like a scientific thing that is happening to your body when you decide to let someone in. And I think that's very important for women to know. Once you decide to do that, your hormones tell you that this person is safe, because that is how your chemical body and reproduction works. That is just how it is. Like when it's the mating process with animals, they do the same thing. Their body and their mind start telling them, okay, this person is safe. Because why else would your body put something in it that's not good for them, right? So just sit, think, and ponder about that. And I also, to end it, I have a couple of dating coaches that you can follow. I have Anwar White, Mina Irfan, David Gayam, and Greta B. I can't pronounce her name. She has a very interesting last name, and I'm just not gonna attempt. But yeah, that's all I wanted for today. I think it's very important that people know how to date and know how to date safely, and definitely do the background checks before you meet up with the person. But again, thank you to all my beautiful and lovely subscribers, and thank you for liking and supporting my page and liking this video. And I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.